He looked me in the eyes, in our penthouse, the one he paid for, and said, "Anna, you're pathetic. You can't breathe without me. You're nothing without my money." 32 days later, I signed the papers for my first private jet. Not a $50 million jet, a $100 million jet, and I named it Pathetic. He thought he broke me when he left me for a girl half my age. He was wrong. He didn't break me. He turned me into a weapon, and I made sure he paid the price. A price tag with 9 zeros. This isn't a story about a broken heart. This is a blueprint for a billion-dollar revenge. You need to hear this. Let's rewind. 5 years ago, I was Mrs. Alexander Sterling. That name meant designer clothes, charity galas, and an empty kind of perfection. For 20 years, I was the perfect accessory to his real estate empire. Alex was a mogul, powerful, charming in public, and brutally condescending behind closed doors. He didn't just give me things. He made me dependent on him, not just financially, but mentally. Every compliment was backhanded. "You look beautiful tonight, Anna. You clean up well for someone who doesn't have to work." Every decision had to be run by him. Even when I talked about starting my own small online project, he'd laugh and say, "Darling, focus on the seating chart for the fundraiser. That's your lane. Leave the serious money to me." He gradually chipped away at my confidence until I truly believed I was incapable of anything more than managing a household staff and picking out wine. It was a cage built out of gold. The signs were always there, but I ignored them until the night I found out. It wasn't a lipstick stain or a late night text. It was worse. It was a cold, clinical conversation right after his 50th birthday party. The house was finally quiet, the hired staff gone. I was clearing up the last champagne glasses, feeling exhausted but proud of the event I'd flawlessly executed. "Alex, I found the charges on the corporate card, the trip to Santorini. Who is—" "Oh, her." He didn't even have the decency to look up from his financial papers. "It's not a big deal, Anna. She's invigorating, something you haven't been in years." Invigorating? Alex, we built this life. We have 20 decades of marriage, 20 decades of history. How can you be so casual? Correction. I built this life. You were a very expensive decoration, Anna, a trophy I put on a shelf. She sees my potential. She inspires me. Look at you. You manage a household. She manages a startup. She's hungry. You're just full. He pushed the chair back, finally looking at me, and that's when he delivered the blow that shattered everything. "Look at you, Anna. You have no job, no skills that matter outside of party planning. You are completely dependent. Frankly, you're pathetic. You can't live without me, and you know it." He thought that word, pathetic, would break me. It was his favorite weapon used for years to control me. When he finally walked out 2 days later, he didn't even say goodbye. He just left me a note on the granite kitchen counter next to the bank statement. "I've deposited enough for 3 months. Find a small place. You won't need much. You always said you couldn't survive without me. Prove me wrong." For 1 hour, I stood there, clutching that note, looking out over the city lights that all belonged to him. I felt the absolute crushing weight of being judged and dismissed as utterly worthless. But that note wasn't a goodbye. It was a challenge. That was my fuel. That was the moment Mrs. Sterling died and Anna, the entrepreneur, was born. I decided right then I wouldn't just survive without him, I would eclipse him. I didn't cry. I sat there for an hour, looking at the city lights. Then I got up. I didn't hire a lawyer to fight him over alimony. I didn't want his pity money. I wanted his respect, which he clearly only gave to people with immense power. Flashback. Alex always mocked my hobby, vintage watches. I loved the mechanics, the history, the story behind them. I spent hours learning the difference between a Calibra 11 and a Valjoux 72. He called it a quaint little obsession, a waste of time. He was wrong. It was my secret weapon. My plan? I wasn't going to try to beat him in his game of real estate. That would take years, and he knew all the players. I was going to create a new game entirely. A new market where my quaint little obsession was suddenly the key to billions. Step 1. Liquidity. I opened my safe. Alex had bought me millions in jewelry, diamonds, sapphires, emeralds, all trophies. All meaningless now. I sold every piece he ever bought me, not for the sentimental value, but the cold, hard cash. I walked out of the dealer with $3.5 million. He thought I'd spend it on rent and therapy. I spent it on two things: a small, discreet office space and hiring the best damn tech architect I could find, Dr. Chen. My new venture? The Watch Whisperer. It wasn't a simple e-commerce site. It was an AI-driven authentication platform for rare luxury goods. Counterfeit luxury was a multi-billion-dollar problem globally. I had the passion, watches, and I added the ultimate solution: unbeatable tech. No, Dr. Chen, we can't use existing blockchain. It's too slow and generic. I want a proprietary microsensor embedded in the authentication seal. It has to scan the metal's unique molecular fingerprint. It must be unhackable, and it has to be ready in 6 months. No compromises. Mrs. Sterling, Anna, that's a billion-dollar idea. It's going to take every dime you have and probably more. This is a massive risk. Good. I'm used to high stakes. Now let's go earn $1 billion. 6 months of 18-hour days. I lived in that office. No sleep, just coffee, code, and a picture of Alex's condescending face pinned to my monitor. My first major investment came from an old contact of Alex's, a rival he'd once crushed in a hostile takeover. Mr. Hiroshi. Why should I invest in a startup run by Alexander Sterling's ex-wife who has no business experience? You were a socialite. Because, Mr. Hiroshi, Alex is predictable. He plays the same old, tired game. I don't. I'm building a technology that will secure the entire global luxury market. Every major collector, every auction house will need us. And you know what else? I am personally motivated to see this succeed. You know what Alex called me? Pathetic. That word is worth billions in motivation. Invest in the revenge. He signed the check that day. A seed round of $20 million. The company exploded. Every major auction house, every luxury dealer, they needed my technology. The Watch Whisperer quickly rebranded to Authenticorp, and it became the global standard. I was no longer waiting for Alex to sign a check. I was signing them myself. The silent grind was over. The loud roar was about to begin. 3 years later, I was no longer Anna, Alex's ex-wife. I was Anna Sterling, CEO of Authenticorp. We were valued at $5 billion and growing. My face was on the cover of Forbes, not as a socialite, but as a tech disruptor. I remember seeing a copy in an airport lounge. It felt good. It felt like power. And Alex? His world was starting to wobble. He'd been over-leveraged for years. His younger girlfriend, the invigorating one, had drained his reserves with a few failed vanity projects. His bad real estate bets were catching up to him. He was struggling, and I was about to deliver the final, perfectly timed blow. I heard through my extensive network, the same network he used to belittle, that Alex was trying to secure a massive, desperate loan to save his sinking company, Sterling Global. He needed $500 million by the end of the week. His last resort was the biggest commercial bank in the city, the same bank where I was a major private equity client. I didn't call him. I didn't send a threatening email.
I walked directly into the bank's CEO's office. No appointment. When Anna Sterling walks in, you clear the calendar. Anna? What a surprise! What can we do for the woman who owns half the city's intellectual property? I sat down, crossing my legs. Just a small request, David. I understand Alexander is looking for a loan. Yes, he has a massive proposal scheduled for tomorrow morning, a large one. We're reviewing the risk profile now. Well, tell him to save his breath. Tell him he's wasting your time. I just instructed my portfolio manager to move all of Authentic Corp's liquid assets that's $1.2 billion to your biggest competitor by the end of the day. Unless the CEO, David, actually sweated. Unless what, Anna? You know how much that transfer would hurt our quarter. Unless he doesn't get that loan. Tell him the bank can't afford to back a pathetic investment. Tell him Alex Sterling's company is high risk and low reward. I want the rejection to be immediate, firm, and public. David stared at me. He understood. It wasn't just about Alex. It was about the loyalty of a client worth $1.2 billion. He nodded once. The deal was done. The next morning, Alex walked into that high-stakes meeting expecting a lifeline, and he was rejected coldly and publicly. The news hit the wires hours later. Sterling Global is facing immediate insolvency. His entire empire, built on arrogance and my tears, was crumbling into dust. He had one last call he could make.
The news of Sterling Global's insolvency spread like wildfire. The headline screamed across every financial publication, "Sterling Global implodes." The unshakable Alex Sterling was now front-page news for all the wrong reasons. His empire, built on 20 years of ruthless ambition, collapsed in a single day, a debt I had meticulously orchestrated. The betrayal was complete. His young girlfriend? Predictable as a market correction. She took the keys to the convertible and vanished the hour the bankruptcy was announced. The final scene. He called me. The phone screen flashed his name, accompanied by a picture I'd long since forgotten to delete. A picture from a charity gala where he looked smug, powerful, and entirely convinced of his own brilliance. I let it ring 4 times, forcing him to wait, to sweat, to truly understand the powerless position he was in. I picked up on the 5th ring. "Hello, Alex." "Anna, please." His voice was a pathetic sound, not the smooth, commanding baritone of the mogul, but a broken, ragged plea. "You have to help me. I know you have the money. I saw the Forbes article. We can save this. We can fix us. I'll give you whatever you want. I was wrong. I'm so incredibly sorry." I settled back into my ergonomic chair, a chair I paid for, and let the silence stretch. I pictured him, standing alone in the massive, empty penthouse, clutching the phone. I remembered the humiliation, the years of subtle abuse, the single note he'd left me. "You think this is about money, Alex? You think this is about us? Tell me something. Do you remember the day you walked out and called me pathetic? Do you remember saying I couldn't live without you? Do you remember saying I was only good for picking out wine and arranging flower centerpieces?" He started to sob, a harsh, unfamiliar sound. "I remember. I was a fool, a cruel fool. I know I deserve whatever punishment." "Punishment? No, Alex. This isn't punishment. This is the market correcting itself. You valued me at 0. I'm simply showing you my true market price. You should have checked the public records a little closer this morning." "What are you talking about, Anna? I don't understand." "I didn't just sabotage your loan, Alex. That was child's play. That was the opening move. For the last 6 months, my legal team has been working through a complex web of holding companies and offshore trusts. We have been quietly, meticulously acquiring your company's secured debt, every bond,
Every note, every last financial obligation that was keeping Sterling Global afloat was funneled through Authenticorp. I acquired it all at a premium to ensure no one else could touch it. I am no longer your ex-wife. I am the sole secured creditor of Sterling Global. I own you now. Every asset, every liability, every dream you ever built. The phone went dead silent. The silence was absolute. He had nothing left to say. I waited 5 seconds, letting the shock sink into his core. Then, I delivered the final calculated blow. I'm calling the shots on the liquidation, Alex. I'm selling off everything. The land, the art, the corporate jets. And yes, I'm keeping the penthouse, the one you said you paid for. I'm tearing out the marble kitchen counter where you left that pathetic note and turning the whole floor into Authenticorp's flagship regional office. I've already commissioned a new piece of art for the entrance, a gold plaque etched with your favorite word, pathetic. Anna, please, you can't let this happen. We can negotiate. I'll work for you. I laughed, a cold, genuine laugh of pure victory. Work for me? Alex, you lack the skills for my company. You're predictable, you're entitled, and you're over-leveraged. You are a liability. The paperwork for the dissolution is already filed. Consider this my final act of party planning. I executed the perfect corporate dissolution. I leaned back, looking out at the city, my city now. Oh, and Alex, I can definitely breathe without you. In fact, the air is much cleaner up here at the top. Goodbye. I ended the call. No regret, no lingering doubt. Just the quiet, profound satisfaction of correcting a brutal injustice. The woman he dismissed as pathetic hadn't just survived. She had built a kingdom and used its entire weight to dismantle his. The revenge was complete.
He lost everything. The house, the company, the respect of his peers. His wealth vanished, and the last fragments of his ego were crushed. He was left exactly where he assumed I would be, alone, irrelevant, and broke. But this isn't just about revenge. It's about revelation. When Alex called me pathetic, he wasn't just insulting me. He was confirming his own weakness. He needed me to be dependent so he could feel powerful. The day he left, he didn't realize he was actually handing me the single greatest source of motivation a person could ever have. That humiliation, that feeling of being judged as worthless, became my secret renewable energy source. Every time an investor doubted me, every time Dr. Chen said the code was impossible, I just remembered his face and his one word, pathetic. The best revenge isn't tearing someone else down, it's building yourself up so high they can't even see you anymore. He thought I was weak because I had spent 20 years in the shadow of his money. He was wrong. I wasn't weak. I was waiting. I was observing. I learned his game, and then, using the same sharp focus I once used on seating charts and charity budgets, I changed the rules and beat him at a level he couldn't even comprehend. I stand here today, the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar tech company, a self-made woman. The gold cage is gone. The name, Sterling, is mine now, but the power behind it is earned. So, if someone, anyone, calls you pathetic or weak or tells you you can't survive without them, thank them. They just handed you the blueprint to your billion-dollar empire. Take their venom, convert it into fuel, and watch yourself fly. My name is Anna Sterling, and this is how I turned pathetic into a billion-dollar empire. Now, go build yours.